This how we change this shit. Exposing all the lies that they changed us with.
Yeah.
This how we change this shit. Exposing all the lies that they changed us with.
It's time for change, folks.
Exposing all the lies that they changed us with.
Change.
This how we change this shit. Exposing
All the lies. All right. Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. To indeed, man. It's been a minute, folks. Pardon me. Got some beautiful, joyous things going on. Top of the list, my new grandson. Man. What a joy. True indeed. Many beautiful things happening. So please note, my hiatus has only been for enjoying the beauty of life. True indeed. Man, change. It's time for change. Are you ready for change, folks? Huh? I know you are. Especially all those who are on their ascension path, awakening journey, whatever you want to call this time of enlightenment, where so many individuals are truly awakening to the opportunity to be their best selves, right? Shout out to my new book, Ascension Path, Best Self, Best Life. Please grab that. Available on Amazon right now. And certainly if you bump into me in person and I have some on me, I would love to make you a signed copy. Folks, I love you all. Thank you. Truly. We're getting stronger. The worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Thank you all for continuing to build the movement. Let's get this powerful surge. We're almost at that 444. I told you we would creep on up there. We hit that 444 on our subscribers, and I say we're going to exponentially surge powerfully forward to 4444. So please like, share, subscribe. Please tell everybody you know. Tell some folks you don't know to like, share, and please subscribe so that we can hit that goal and exponentially surge powerfully forward to the next goal of 4444. All right. Man, change is an appropriate place for us to begin our energies with, right? Right now, like to be in that energy of change, which numerologically, excuse me, in numerology, some disciplines of numerology, the number 5 represents that change, right? And we're seeing change, right, begin to happen. Folks, reflect just a little bit on some of the things I've told you and some other folks have told you will be transpiring or may transpire or could transpire in some way, shape, or fashion, right? Because we're starting to see some of these things transpiring. We've seen already for a couple of years now, for those who have been able to look with a discerning eye, the split in people, right? And the split in behavior in our society, even, right? And that was very necessary, right? As to illuminate that which we wish to change, right? Like I said before, with all the things that we may see that are now becoming uncovered, revealed, and made, at least to some degree, accessible to the masses to know what has been going on and is going on the planet now that we do not approve of, right? Um, and where we're at right now is everybody sort of taking their positions and getting their ammunition ready, so to speak, right? And really, I shudder to even use that word, right? Because it suggests war or conflict. And not only am I not about war and conflict, there is no more war or conflict, folks. This isn't about the determination, right, or determining whether or not uh, we're going to ascend on this planet and whether the quote unquote forces of darkness have prevailed or if the quote unquote forces of light have prevailed. That is not in question, folks. We're past that already. See, this is what's difficult for many people to process. We have already passed the precipice, right? There is no question as to whether or not we're going to destroy ourselves, as we've done in the past on this planet, right? Check my previous videos, folks, where I've talked about, and also just do research on your own to see that history in the past is not what we were trained to believe as we were coming up, right? We were given that picture that man or humans have always would only appear to be more primitive the further back you peer in time. And it's not that way. In fact, civilization, advancement, evolution on this planet has gone in cycles, right? And if you think about it, folks, if you just pause on that right there, you see the difference in the mentality of the old paradigm versus the new paradigm. The old paradigm thinks of things in linear 3D, 4D fashion, right? And finite linear lines, right? Whereas though in the new paradigm, we are developing our ability to see things in ciphers, right? In 360 degrees, to see things in cyclical fashion and to create cyclical controls and cyclical application within the institutions that touch our everyday lives. That's where we're headed already. And we're actually already at the beginnings of establishing our new society based on that. So, of course, in this beginning, you're going to have some rumblings and plenty of uproar, right? Because change brings that. I told you, and many others have told you, that those who are desperately clinging to the old paradigm will be even more desperately doing so in these times because we are moving past the old paradigm altogether. And those systems are failing grossly and more rapidly, right? I told you before, the old paradigm is gone away, folks, in terms of the way of it being the predominant way of the world. That paradigm has been broken down, right, to mere only remnants remaining of it, right? That's what you see in place with these governments of the world and some of their desperate acts, right? With these, more importantly, groups within these governments, right? Being desperate to try and remain in control and in power, but failing to do so. Remember, the only way that they were able to stay in power for so long was by controlling the flow of information, right? That was the whole point of developing secret societies thousands of years ago, right? Back in Kemet, when that was first done, right? Um, and if you're not familiar with that, look into that and check out my previous videos, do some research on that. But secret societies are certainly not a new concept, and not something that comes that has its beginnings in organizations that most of us think. Most of us think, likely some offshoot, of like the Knights Templar or something up under, the Vatican. Certainly, they may have current day coordination of the hidden hand, right, and all the secret societies that make up the hidden hand. But the concept of secret societies in general and sequestering certain information from the masses comes out of Kemet a long time ago, thousands of years ago. Um, in fact, one thing you can reference to touch on that is the interview that David Icke did of Credo Mutwa. Look into that. It's a long interview, but within that, Brother Mutwa talks about, and he's transitioned. Brother Mutwa talks about the establishment of those secret societies and that practice of sequestering information from the masses a long time ago. But anyway, the whole purpose of that, right, um, of controlling the flow of information is to provide the opportunity to control the thinking of the masses. This is how you control the masses. This is how you can have mere millions control billions, right? That's what we're talking about when we talk about the socially economic elite of this planet, extending their will and control over the masses. That is what we're talking about. Literally just a couple of million folks, right? Pulling the strings and controlling billions of people. Doesn't add up. Seems like, how could that be possible? The only way it's possible is by controlling the minds and the perception of those people, right? By steering them through a society of fear that manipulates them and keeps them distracted and infighting, using the old theorem that they've always given, divide and conquer, right? Keeping us divided, right? They win in an atmosphere of separation mentality, right? They're the masters of separation mentality, and we see what they've done with it, right? With their opportunity to make that the prevailing mentality on the planet, separation mentality. But what we're now seeing is a unity consciousness that brings along with that an incredible growth, right, of sovereignty as we continue to break control of the flow of information, and we continue to see us all flourishing in the information age and having the access to information that we simply did not for most of our time on this planet. And when I say we, I mean the masses. But now the masses of the people are, in fact, gaining access to so much. That is what the information age has brung, folks. It is incredibly difficult to keep a secret on this planet these days. Have you noticed that? Now, what you also notice, along with the way that has been made an almost impossible thing with the advent of the internet, right? What you will also notice is many people already have started to notice this, but in the masses, we will see more and more an increase in telepathy. Huh? What you say, Big King? That's right. You will see in the coming years an increase in telepathy, and you will see a great increase in that with these children that are being born, right? And if we can stay away from the In my opinion, if we can stay, quote, remember I'm saying this, in my opinion, if we could stay away from the vaccines and all the other things that, in my opinion, we we've seen interfere with many of our natural abilities, right? Our innate abilities. If we could stay away from those inhibitors, we will see that tr- tremendously show itself up in these children that are being born now, and will be born in the years to come. Um, they're simply on a higher vibrational frequency when they come in, folks. They're coming in on a higher vibe, and that is resulting in a higher consciousness that can potentially be developed in them, and along with that, greater DNA efficacy. Huh? How does that work? Well, remember, as you open yourself up to higher consciousness, you then open yourself up to incorporating and processing these energies that we are receiving in this particular section of the galaxy, right? Where we find ourselves at right now during our orbit around the center of the galaxy. These transformative energies, we will be able to process them toward our benefit of higher consciousness and higher DNA efficacy. So, folks, that's where we're headed. You will see a lot of lashing out, right? I call them, I almost pretty much just regard them as temper tantrums, right? By the socially economic elite and their quote unquote control systems. You know, you'll see in the business world and then in media, you know, big shakeups like they fired Tucker Carlson, excuse me, who I've myself sort of witnessed in him over the recent years more and more of a growth and willingness to challenge the quote unquote powers that be or the socially economic elite control systems that they like, for example, the control systems they have within media, where they have most of the multimedia outlets controlled by these BlackRock corporations, right? And you know, you may see some firings and shakeups of that nature, particularly with individuals uh, uh, like Tucker, who have been courageous enough to not necessarily just follow and toe the company line, but to bring objective perspectives to the awareness of the masses, and even to have folks on his show like Russell Brand, who bring that sort of a free thinking narrative, uh, you know, onto his show. And you know, you've seen him going more and more in that direction, and we see that they've lashed out and that they do lash out against people who are that courageous. So celebrate him, right? And folks like that who we will see step up, because that's the beautiful thing about this, folks. I keep telling you, we may not see how much progress we're making in establishing our new paradigm, our high vibrational frequency paradigm of peace, love, respect. It can at times be difficult to see because of our perspective, us being so close to the problems of our everyday lives and the distractions that go along with it. But when we step back and allow ourselves to take a wider scope and see with a greater, wider scope exactly what is going on worldwide and the direction we're headed in, folks, there's much cause to celebrate. There truly is, because it's got to start with knowing first. And we know. And now you're seeing people start to react to what they know. And you see things like the farmers in other countries standing up, and the truckers and different groups. When you start seeing groups of people standing up and saying no to the powers that be, to the establishment, right? And the will of the people being exercised more. Power to the people, by the way. Let's see that. Then we know that we are moving further and further along in the the firming of the foundation, right? Centering in the concrete, uh, solidifying, pardon me, of our new high vibrational frequency paradigm of peace, love, respect. And we can begin to celebrate that, folks, as we watch it coalesce more and more and start to take shape. It is your will that is doing that and will continue to do so, because we have chosen already. The choice has been made on this planet that we are not choosing to go by the way of past versions of humanity on this planet. We're not going to destroy ourselves. We're moving further in our evolution to a point that humanity has not been to before. We are truly growing up as a species, right? And we're moving into higher consciousness and all the splendor, the beauty, and magnificence that brings, and the opportunity to have for ourselves on this beautiful planet, right? A new high vibrational frequency paradigm to change the way the world works. So again, celebrate those who we see standing up, speaking out, right, and making the choice and choosing to support our new high vibrational frequency paradigm, right? One of peace, love, respect, and all that brings, all that means, all the change